Greetings, Tomasio here. Mary is the new evangelization. What that means is that Mary has come to add a whole new chapter to your spiritual life. And it's a very important chapter. It's a necessary chapter before heaven. Okay? Revelation chapter 12 says, "A great sign appeared in the sky, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars." Okay, so a great sign appeared in the sky. Okay, a woman appears, right? The moon under her feet, crown of 12 stars. Because she was with child, she wailed aloud in pain as she labored to give birth. All right, now, this is Mary. Okay, can we move on? All right, now you might say, well, no, it's Israel, or it's the church, or it's this, or it's that. The bottom line is, it's a woman, okay? Israel's not a woman. The church is not a woman. The church is the church, and Israel is Israel, and they might be he or she. But this is a woman who appears, clothed with the sun. Mary's clothed with the sun, her son, of course, right? Clothed with her son. And the sun, the light. She moved the sun at Fatima. Mary's clothed with the sun. The moon under her feet. Okay, moon under her feet. Mary has the moon under her feet. She has just about everything under her feet, including the devil's under her feet. Okay, so the moon's under her feet. The devil's under her feet. You know, anyone who comes against God and Jesus Christ is under her feet. I'll tell you that right now. She's the queen. Now the moon, who knows? Is that Islam under her feet? I don't know. I mean, the moon is under her feet. One way or another, everything's under her feet. Except, of course, Jesus, who is next to her, king and queen. All right. Then she was with, let's see, crown of 12 stars on her head. So she's a queen. Crown of 12 stars means she's a queen. All right, because she was with child, she wailed aloud in pain as she labored to give birth. So she is the virgin that Isaiah talked about. The virgin will conceive and give birth. Mary, in essence, is perpetually pregnant. Okay, perpetually wailing aloud. She is, when, you know, obviously she was pregnant with Jesus, right? She was wailing aloud in pain, okay? This was like, wow. Here we're on the devil's earth with the Son of God, the person who's going to bust this thing wide open, and in her womb, she's wailing aloud in pain, okay? Now, that continues. Mary's pregnancy continues until the end of the world, okay? Because it's an act of evangelization. It's an act of conversion. It's an act of exorcism. And it continues. It's still going on. Then another sign appeared in the sky. It was a huge dragon, flaming red, with 7 heads, 10 horns, and on his heads were 7 diadems. So we're talking in the sky here. So we're talking about something that's happening above us, above the earthly consciousness. This is happening in the heavenly consciousness, the heavenly realm. So you have the woman, then you have a dragon, flaming red, with 7 heads, 10 horns. On his heads were 7 diadems. Okay, so he's got his own kingdom going on here. So he's like, hey, what's up? I am the king of this world, and I have 7 heads, you know, and 10 horns. What's going on here? Conflict, opposition, persecution, war. His tail swept 1/3 of the stars from the sky and hurled them down to the earth. Then the dragon stood before the woman about to give birth, ready to devour her child when it should be born. So he's furious, mad, angry, hurls stars down to the earth, okay, ready to devour the child. He's not having it. He is not having it, okay? It's not happening. Jesus and Mary, you're not welcome in my world, in my kingdom. I own these people. They're mine. They're my slaves. You're not coming in here, right? That's what the Pharaoh said, right? So the Pharaoh was like the dragon in a lot of ways. So she gave birth to a son, a boy destined to shepherd all the nations with an iron rod. All right, so she gives birth to a son. She's giving birth. She gave birth to a son. All right, so the war, the battle, and she gives birth. She gives birth. Okay, she gives birth. So what happens? She gives birth. Who does she give birth to? A boy destined to shepherd all the nations with an iron rod. It's his destiny to shepherd all the nations with an iron rod. Okay, obviously Jesus here. Her child was caught up to God and to his throne. This is the verse that no one understands. Her child was caught up to God and his throne. So, the dragon's ready to devour the child. She gives birth, and it says he's caught up to God. Caught up to God and his throne. The woman herself fled into the desert where a special place had been prepared for her by God. And there she was taken care of for 1,260 days. So she gives birth, mission accomplished there. She's got to flee. The child is taken to God. Okay? So she separates from her child here. Her child is taken to God. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels battled against the dragon. And although the dragon and his angels fought back, they were overpowered and lost their place in heaven. The huge dragon, the ancient serpent, known as the devil or Satan, the seducer of the whole world, was driven out. He was hurled down to earth and his minions with him. Okay, so Jesus goes up, Mary goes down, and then before the devil knows what's happening, you got angels, Michael, right there to battle him. Okay? Wow. Jesus goes up, Mary goes down, Michael appears. And so there was a war. There was a war. It broke out in heaven. And the dragon fought back. But they lost. And the seducer of the world was driven out. He was hurled down to the earth and his minions with him. So heaven rejoices, right? Now have salvation and power come. The reign of our God and the authority of his anointed one. For the accuser of our brothers is cast out. Night and day accused them before God. They defeated him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony. Love for life did not deter them from death. So rejoice, you heavens, you that dwell therein. But woe to you, earth and sea, for the devil has come down upon you. His fury knows no limit, for he knows his time is short. So those in heaven are rejoicing because he's gone. He's out of heaven completely. He can't just accuse day and night and be a nuisance and a menace to God, right? So salvation comes to the heavens. The devil's cast out. But woe to you, earth and sea. He gets cast down to the earth and to the sea. And this is a problem, right? Because he knows his time is short. At this point, he's defeated. But he's not completely defeated. He's kicked out of heaven. It's like, say you're at a concert and you get kicked out of the show. And you didn't want to leave. And you get kicked out. You're going to be mad. The devil's mad as all get out. All right. So the devil saw that he had been cast down to the earth. He pursued the woman who had given birth to the boy. So the first thing he's going to do is go after the woman, that horrible woman, she did this to me. She gave birth to that boy who I wanted to kill. I'm going after her. Okay? I'm going after her. All right. So now this child was taken to God, right? So because the child was God. So the child belongs to God. So the devil has no more access to heaven. He's completely cast out, completely. But he does have access to the earth. And that is where the woman went, to the earth. After she had given birth, she's dedicated, committed to the earth. So he goes after the woman. But the woman was given the wings of a gigantic eagle so that she could fly off to her place in the desert, where far from the serpent she could be taken care of for a year, for 2.5 years more. The serpent, however, spewed a torrent of water out of his mouth to search out the woman and sweep her away. The earth then came to the woman's rescue by opening its mouth and swallowing the flood, which the dragon spewed out of his mouth. Enraged at her escape, the dragon went off to make war on the rest of her offspring, on those who keep God's commandments and give witness to Jesus. He took up his position by the shore of the sea. Okay, so the woman, gigantic eagle wings. So she's within the reach of the serpent, but he can't touch her. So far from the serpent, she could be taken care of for a year, for 3.5 years. The woman's going to be taken care of on this earth. She's going to be taken care of. So how can you take care of Mary, the mother of Jesus? Who's going to take care of her? John. John's going to take care of her. Jesus said, woman, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. From that moment, he took her into his home. Okay, John was at the cross. John took care of the mother. John is anyone who consoles Mary's heart. That is a whole other topic. But consoling the heart of Mary is very important. In other words, to serve Mary as your queen is a very special calling. It's a very special, and she's the refuge of sinners as well. So the devil goes after Mary. He doesn't want her on the earth. The last thing he wants to do is share the earth with the Blessed Mother. Clearly does not want to share the earth with Mary. But he can't touch her. She's protected. Why? Because she's without sin. She never sinned. She has power over him. He doesn't have power over her. So she's safe, protected. She's with those who are taking care of her, meaning those who have devotion to her, those who console her heart are taken care of. Mary, John, the Johns of the world. Okay? So what happens is then he goes and wages war against the rest of her offspring, those who bear witness to Jesus, and that's what ISIS is doing. They are being subject to this horrible beast, okay, and they're chopping people's heads off and doing horrible, horrible things to those who are bear witnessing to Jesus Christ. They take a special pleasure in killing Christians, okay. So it's demons that are doing it. It's demon-possessed people who have become possessed and are serving the devil and doing the will of the devil, who are crucifying and beheading these Christians. And the spirit of the Antichrist is in America with people who hate Christians, for example, people who hate pro-lifers, people who now, if you don't know any of these people, it's because you're lukewarm, clearly. Anyone who is standing up for pro-life, standing up against pedophilia, standing up against, the horrible anti-Christ spirit. It's foul, it's wicked, it's perverted, okay? And if you're not standing up against it, exposing it, fighting it, etc., etc., then you're lukewarm at best. And that means you're not ready for the spiritual kingdom, the heavenly kingdom. So we're all sinners. Short of Jesus and Mary, we're all sinners, okay? So whether you sin a lot, sin a little, sin in between, whatever the case is, you're a sinner. I don't care how much you go to church. I don't care how much you pray, okay? There's always something you could be doing that you're not doing. You're missing the mark, So, but that's just to keep us humble. And even Paul said that. I got this thorn in my flesh, man. And it's to keep us humble. Those without sin cast the first stone. Jesus said that clearly. So Revelation 12 is an ongoing reality of the spiritual realm that does very specifically refer to the times we're living in now. Because Satan has been cast out of heaven. In other words, he's no longer annoying God in heaven, in essence. Okay? The child is taken safely to heaven because we're waiting his return to this earth. Okay, he is coming to this earth. That was the ascension of Jesus. Basically, he ascended to heaven. And they said, well, how much longer do we have to wait? He went. He's coming back. In the meantime, Mary's here on the earth, and she is witnessing, giving testimony. She's appeared at different places, and the devil hasn't been able to kill her. You understand? She's been to Knock, Ireland. She's been to Fatima, Portugal. She's been to Guadalupe, Medjugorje. The devil has not been able to stop her. Do you see what I'm saying? Far from the devil. He can't touch her. He can't touch where she is. And she has obviously ministering angels watching over, protecting her. And there are those who, console her heart. I would recommend that you console her heart. I think that is the best position you can be in on this earth. I really do. And you'll be protected, and it's beautiful. But you have to be courageous like she is. She's preaching the word of God, and you will also have her protection under you. So it's a matter of reading Maximilian Kolbe's writings. Read the gospel at the cross where Jesus said, woman, behold your son behold your mother. In that moment, he took her into his home. That's pretty much it. That's what it is. Same thing with Joseph. Just don't be afraid to take Mary as your wife or take Mary into your home. The child within her is conceived of the Holy Spirit. So Joseph, in essence, was the first Marian disciple. Okay, and John, obviously, and we've had many throughout history. Juan Diego, Maximilian Kolbe, John Paul II. So there's been many disciples of Mary. Okay, and the disciples of Mary are clearly under Jesus because Jesus married her disciples. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, we go right to Jesus. We don't need Mary. Well, okay, fine, but you're going to be like the ones that are beheaded according to Revelation 13. And I hope you're ready for that. And then, so it's honorable, clearly is honorable. I would say, though, the fullness of the gospel is Jesus and Mary. If you don't have Mary, you're not hitting the fullness of the gospel. And the fullness is what we're called to. So, thank you for listening. Revelation 12 is here, is upon us. Check out marysthenewevangelization.com. God bless you.